If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.com to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM to get started. Welcome back to another episode of A Way with Words podcast. This is Sierra Dean, and today we are speaking with Miss Author Ann Bingham of the One New Thing Project. She is all about doing new things every day. So find out how you can integrate new things into your world every day. Find out how she got started and how you can get started on this journey too. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to A Way with Words podcast. This is Sierra Dean, and I am here with Miss Author Ann Bingham. Hello, ma'am. How are you doing today?
I am great. You're catching me in between these two fabulous events today. So I am so thrilled to catch back up with you. I'm thrilled to be here chatting with you.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited to know everything that's going on with you for 2022.
Yes.
Because I've been realizing that a lot of people have been just excelling in 2022. It's so much that's going on in 2022. So I cannot wait to just hear from you and what you have going on, and then also tell everybody about your book as well. So you are a Amazon bestseller. Your book is called the One New Thing Project. And this was really a phenomenal book. It was great working with you because it opened my eyes as a mom to basically step back and say, oh my gosh, am I taking care of myself? Can you just tell people about like who you are? And we would, just tell people about who you are first, and then we'll dive into the book.
Yeah. So I am a developmental psychologist by trade. I spent over 30 years in the education industry. I was an early childhood educator, and I spent a lot of time watching and learning how children developed, right? And I'm also the mom of two magnificent grown children. I'm really lucky to have had two great kids who've grown and turned out well, and are now not just finding their way in the world, but really making a mark on the world, which is pretty remarkable to see. And I've been married to the same man, my college sweetheart, now actually this week for 29 years. So I in many respects, I've had a really idyllic life. And it was just a little over 10 years ago now that I began to have a real struggle in my life, because although I had all of those things, and although I had teenagers that by and large weren't giving us any trouble, I had a job that I had dreamed of, and I had a marriage that most people envied. I really wasn't taking very good care of myself. I was working, 14 and 16-hour days. I was giving what I had left of myself back to my kids, back to my husband. And I found myself, I'd go over to my friend's house and I'd say, gosh, their house is always kept up and their meals are always on the table. And my foyer is always full of backpacks, and my dishes, my sink is always full of dishes. And why can't I keep it together? And what I found was that I was comparing myself to other people while they were comparing themselves to me. And as women, we tend to do this and we never talk about it until my best friend did. And she said to me, she said, do you ever wonder if this is all there is? And when she said it out loud, it was like something popped. And I started looking around and I started wondering, what's wrong that I can't connect with this fabulous life that I have? And working with little kids, one of the things that happens is on a daily basis, they are doing something new every single day. And they just have this pure joy of when they're exploring it and figuring it out for the first time. And I was constantly exposed to that. And I realized, like, that's what I wanted. Like, as adults, we don't get that very much anymore. And in part because as adults, as a developmental psychologist, I realized that that part of us gets kind of pushed down, because if we're trying something new and we fail at it, then we have a lot of like socialized stuff that comes up around us. Like, you're going to look stupid and people are going to make fun of you. And if you make a mistake on your job the first time, you might be written up and fired, all of those things. And we don't feel like we have that same freedom. And so what I decided to do with a friend of mine at work was to give myself that freedom really carefully to start exploring that again. And so I started that as a New Year's resolution to once a month try something new. And that was 10 years ago. And every month for 10 years, at least one time a month, I have tried something new. Sometimes it's big, you know? So for my 50th birthday, my husband gave me a flying lesson, which you can get on Groupon, by the way. You don't have to spend a lot of money on these things. And a lot of times it's something small. So for our anniversary, we were out of town and I ate 3 different new things while we were out of town. And so a lot of times for me, I love food. I'm a food junkie. And so a lot of times for me, it's just trying new things to eat. And that connects back to me in such a weird way that it will just really ground me and just give me such joy and such pleasure that I can't even really explain it, but it's such a simple thing that we can do. We don't have to do these like big bucket list things like, you know, going flying or jumping out an airplane or anything, swimming with wild boars in Bahamas. That's something, you know, a friend of mine did. And you don't have to do that big, crazy nonsense. It truly can be learning a new dance on YouTube and doing it and learning to dance like nobody's watching it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely love that. I love the fact that you took it out your way to actually start doing new things and comparing yourself. Like, that is huge. That's something that is so huge, because again, that can probably tie into just trying something new, because you're trying to get into the mode of trying something new, but then you're like comparing yourself to the next person that may have went big and maybe swam with sharks or something. And now you're like, well, I need to try something new to go past what they did, like supersede what they did. So let me try this. But it's like just doing the small things to just step out the box to at least start trying something new. I really, and I'm a foodie also, so I love food. My favorite places are Mexican spots. Like, I love Mexican spots. I'll just try different Mexican spots just to see how it is, because I love Mexican food.
And there's different yeah, there's different regions of Mexico. So trying out different regions, you're going to get a huge variety of that, you know. And I'll tell you, one of the things that in talking about like different personalities, if you're an introvert, how you handle this is going to be really different than if you're an extrovert, right? So if you're an extrovert, we know that you try things, you tend to be bigger and bolder in how you try things. That's okay. If you're an introvert, you don't have to try those big and bold things. And here's a great example of that. So I saw this thing on Facebook where they were doing a silent dance party. Put the headphones on, you know, you get the music through your headphones, everybody dances. I thought this sounded like the coolest thing since sliced bread. I was so excited for this. And I went to my husband, I went to my best friend, and I'm like, oh my God, you guys, we have to do this. And my best friend, Stephanie, who is really self-conscious about, first of all, her dancing. Second of all, she's a lot more introverted. And she's like, there is no way I am doing that. I am not putting on headphones where somebody can take them off and watch me dancing in silence in a big group. Not gonna happen, ever. And I was crushed. I was crushed. And she said, you know what, Ann? That's a you thing. That's not a me thing. And I've been doing this for a really, really, really long time. Mm-hmm. And I had just forgotten in that moment that I got to find people for those things that are different, that like, that's their jam, you know? Mm-hmm. She's very definitely much more of a, like, she's maybe going to go to a concert with me or a symphony or something like that. But that is not her jam.
I absolutely understand that. I was just thinking about the group of people and being that one person that takes off the headphones, looking at everybody else just dancing, not even in sync with each other. It's like so weird. But I've never been to a silence party. I always wanted to. I never been. It's actually something that is actually something I need to do. But first I want to get into talking about the One New Thing project. You have, before you even wrote the book, you basically started a movement around the One New Thing project. You started a Facebook group. You have a website around the One New Thing project. You have a subscription box, and you have a lot of things around the One New Thing project. Tell me how this changed, like, the perspective. Well, you already said how it's trying to change the perspective around your life, but then you have 2 kids as well. How can parents like start doing things outside of the normalcy and include the kids in what they're doing, even if they are younger? Like young kids, they don't have a choice, but older kids, like, how do you get them to step outside the box? What's the benefits from it too?
So for me, our kids were teenagers. My son Ryan was 13, my daughter was 15 when I started. And it's interesting for us because my son Ryan is autistic, and he has what used to be known as Asperger's. And so he is incredibly high functioning. He's since become a really strong advocate in the autistic world. And I truly wish we had started this sooner. If you know anything about autistics struggle with change. Ryan needs a very predictable routine, and growing up through his younger years, that was a tough thing for him when his routine changed. And I do think if we had started doing new things earlier, it would have made a huge difference in his life. When you introduce new things for your kids, and I need to stress that, like, you're not coming out of left field with new things, right? These have to be planned. So it's not just like, hey kids, so we're moving tomorrow and I haven't told you anything about it. Okay. That's super disruptive, and that's going to lead to a bunch of trauma for your kids. Like, you can't just like, so here's your new thing, we're divorcing, and you don't get to see your parents in a consistent way. That's not a new thing. That is trauma. Different. But if you're doing new things, like we're going to be going to the zoo, we're going to be going to this this museum that we haven't ever been to, we're going to be going to listen to this music that we've never listened to before. What it does for kids, particularly at a really young age, is it helps to strengthen communication between the brain cells, and it helps them as they grow older to do a few things. First of all, it helps them to appreciate a lot more perspectives as they come into contact with those perspectives. So they're not going to be just shutting down somebody saying, well, this is what I think. They're going to say, well, tell me more about what you think, so that we can then start a dialogue rather than start yelling at each other. The other thing it does, just in practical problem solving, as those brain cells are firing because now they have more connections. Let's say you're focusing on a math problem, but you've now got some information coming from stuff in your literature side of your brain. That's going to fire some information over there to help you solve that math problem in a really cool and interesting and clever way that nobody's ever done before. And that's going to lead to the kind of problem solving that we're going to need going forward in this world. What I saw from my own kids, just starting at 13 and 15, was we started to have open dialogue with them. They started to become part of our process of going through these new things. And then they started wanting to do new things on their own with their friends. And that was a huge deal, especially for Ryan. When they have since become huge advocates in their own right. So my daughter, who is now, should be 26 in March, when she was a junior in college, she led the March for Science here in St. Louis with over 20,000 people. She was responsible for the social media that brought 20,000 people here. And she spoke, she gave a speech to those 20,000 people. You want to talk about a proud mama moment. And she has since started a not-for-profit foundation that is, except for her, entirely student run. It's entirely high school student run to end suicide and death by overdose in high schools in the eastern region of Missouri, and is now looking to go nationwide. Yeah. I mean, this is not small stuff. And she's done this in just the last couple of years. My son is a tireless advocate for disability rights and has actually gotten into a Twitter feud with William Shatner and gotten blocked by him because he was bullying people about autism on Twitter. So he's pretty fearless. They are both strong advocates in the Black Lives Matters movement, because their grandmother lived in Ferguson, not too far from where Mike Brown was shot. And they wanted to take it upon themselves to help rebuild that community. So yeah, start soon with your kids, start early and get them involved.
That is amazing. Like, that's phenomenal. I'm just thinking, like, what if you didn't expose them to new things? What if they didn't feel as comfortable, because now you've exposed them to new things and they're able to be around different people. They are open to just trying new things and putting themselves out there, and they're okay with failing, and
And
they're
that's the
okay with
thing.
voicing their opinion.
That's the thing, is they are okay with failing because for them, it's just something new. For them, it's not failing, it's I've gathered data and I'm going to use this for my next attempt. It's not personal, it's not anything else, except I've just gotten more information for my next try.
And that's good. That's absolutely good. And I really, really just love the fact that you wrote a book about it, just talking about how the transition went basically in your household, how you thought about it, how you basically presented it to everybody in your household, and how you all started doing it, everything together. And then you also took us along the ride of you doing new things. Like you showed pictures of you doing new things, of you trying new things, of you. So you're not just talking at us, you like talking with us, helping us to get like different ideas flowing in our head, like, maybe I should try this, maybe I should try that. And it's not always about just going places. Like you made a recipe, like you got recipes that you can try out. It's just a lot of different things that go along with trying something new. And I really, really love that about like everything that you're doing. So before I move along, for anybody that's listening, do you have something that they can get as far as a list of things that they can try out? Do you have any suggestions on where to go, like get an idea?
Yeah. Stop by my website, and I've actually got a really good list of a few things to get you started. Because when you're getting started out, the hardest thing, like a lot of times I'll suggest to people, go ahead and start your list of like, what are things you've always wanted to try? What were things that you wanted to try when you were 13 but never got a chance to? But after that, the list gets pretty short, right? And so I create a list of like, here are some things to get you thinking. And so start there, but then use that to branch out. I've got a nice journal that you can use, that you can even drop your own pictures in, and then just write a little note about like, this was cool, this was how it made me feel, and this was something else that I can do based on what I did today during this. I have found that taking pictures and recording your experience has been absolutely invaluable during this. Like, we've gone back and looked at these pictures, I can't tell you how many times. And it brings back, first of all, you forget how many of these you've done.
Mm-hmm.
And you forget how much you've changed from the beginning to the end. And so to have all of that, to really be able to just go back through, is pretty magical.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So anybody that wants to go to her website now, her website is basically the One New Thing Project. Her book is the One New Thing Project. Your Facebook group is the One New Thing Project, right? So everything is One New Thing Project.
My Facebook group is My One New Thing.
My One New Thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will have everything in the show notes, you guys. So don't worry about it. If you missed it or you're trying to go back and rewind, I'll have everything in the show notes so you can go there. But okay, so let's talk about what you got going on for 2022. What should people expect from you? Because I know a lot of people probably I need to contact her. I need to get some ideas on what to do. What is it with your coaching? So what's going on with the coaching? Let's talk about that. How can people get coaching from you?
So in the last year, I've had a number of people who've reached out to me because they wanted to do like really big goals. They wanted to run marathons. They wanted to, I had one woman who did a kayaking race from Kansas City to St. Charles. And so one of the things that I've been doing in a limited capacity with some coaching, and that is expanding in a big way in 2022. So there's a couple of options that I offer. One is sort of traditional one-on-one coaching. And the other, I have a group coaching class that is going to be starting in February. And that is working with 7 other coaches. It basically is taking me as the focus on fun and self-care. And the other folks are working on their subject matter expertise. So you've got finance, and you've got family and career, and several other subject matter areas to help you figure out what your goals are. And then you'll go through that process and really create for yourself what are your goals and make sure that you're meeting them for 2022. We recognize that there's only about 8% of people who meet their goals, and so we want to really help you crush them. The other program that I've got 2 more programs. One is a course, it's called Women Seizing Opportunity. And that was born out of, it's a 6-week course that was born out of women that I was chatting with that were just really struggling with identifying what were the right opportunities for them and seeing those opportunities coming and going and not being able to take advantage of them. Whether those opportunities are in business or work, relationships, their family, their faith walk, or in just connecting with themselves and having fun. Those are the things that we're going to be talking about and getting through really what is blocking you from taking advantage of everything that is out there, because there is a lot out there for you. And so we're going to work together to get through those. We've got a lot available for you in that group, including coaching and including a Facebook support group, and including 3 different opportunities for individual coaching. And then the one that I'm probably most excited about is what I'm calling a coach in your pocket, because I understand that folks, your lives are busy. I get it. I'm a mom, and I remember those years of sports practice and concerts and plays and all of those kinds of things. I remember it all vividly. And I remember of just desperately wishing you could get to yourself and not knowing how. And so what this does is we start with an assessment of you, and then we'll help you create goals in separate areas that are true to you. And the one goal, like literally the one thing that if you did nothing else this year but this one thing, it would change your life forever. And then how do you get there? Because that's the thing, is how do you get there? What do you do every day to get there? And then we curate content for you. So Sierra, like specifically for you, to help you reach those goals. And then I check in with you on a more, I'm going to say, schedule friendly basis, so that we can help you accomplish all of those. And it's super duper budget friendly. It's all in an app that goes right into your pocket, but our conversations are in person. And then you also get that like support of having a group element, like a group call once a month as well. So I'm really, really happy because that brings coaching to folks who maybe wouldn't have taken advantage of it.
That is awesome. That's awesome. I'm so
Yeah.
I'm happy for you that you're actually expanding your coaching business. A lot of people just from being in the house with COVID, not being able to go outside, a lot of people are dealing with like they demons that they didn't know that they had.
Yep.
It's making them not be able to try the things that they wanted to try, maybe going on vacation. So it's kind of making people step back to figure out, okay, what is it that I need to focus on? What are my goals? What are my true goals? And just helping you, just having somebody there like yourself, help them walk them through the process. So you got your one-on-one coaching, you have your course, your the coach in your pocket. That is so cool. Like I really like the coach in your pocket. I really like that. Yeah, that's really cool because then you're able to just pull up the app, see what it is that you need to work on. Okay, did I get this done today? Yes or no? And then you are also checking in with them just to make sure that they are on track. And that's the biggest thing with checking in up on people and like knowing what to do, because you can be doing something but then you probably aren't doing it right, or maybe you just fell off and then you're like, oh my gosh, my coach is about to call me, so let me go ahead and get it done now. I know I've been like that before.
Well, and we have a really interesting way of sort of breaking out what's the stuff that's going to make sense towards your goals versus the busy work, you know? And one of the things that I myself have struggled with is how do you actually take stuff off your to-do list? Because I don't know if you're like me, but you know, there was a time when I would write down probably 30 things on my to-do list. And in an 8-hour day, it's just not getting done. And I would say of those 30 things, there might be one that would advance a goal, maybe one. And so we've, what we've done is we've developed a really interesting way of like, no kidding, your goals come first. And yep, you've got all of the pickup, you know, you got to pick the kids up and you got to do laundry and you got to do all of that stuff. Like life still keeps going on. But, you know, if losing 50 pounds, if that's your goal, like no kidding, that's your goal, then that goes in first. And there is something on there every day that goes towards it. You know?
Yeah, that's intense. That's really good. How long is the coach in your pocket? It just depends on how long they need to get the goal accomplished, or is it a certain time frame?
That is so. So we sign you up as a month to month, but that is designed around a year for progress. But truthfully, if you're going through it and you're like, I'm just not getting out of this what I want to get out of it, you cancel it.
That is so cool. So cool. And then the 7 areas that you are working on with the 7 coaches, that's even cooler.
That's called the year of transformation. That's called the year of transformation. And yes, that is, I'm really excited about that. To be really honest with you, I've never been a part of a program like that. And to be a part of a program with the caliber of these coaches is pretty exciting. And it's the coaching framework that we're using for it is, it's outstanding. It's really unique and it's really outstanding.
So do you have a wait list, an email list, or how can people make sure that they are keeping up with everything that you have going on and they're not missing a beat of it?
So I have an email list, and what they'll need to do is hit me up at my email, which I'm sure will also be in the show notes. It's and I'm trying to think because my webmaster just redid my email or my website as well. I believe it is on our landing page or on our, I think there is a form on our website as well.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, if you do need a coach out there, anybody that's listening, if you need a coach, you have like, you basically helping with everything. You helping me step outside the box to overcome my fears. I'm not worried about failures. Like, you helping me to get my goals accomplished. It's a lot that you have going on. And I just hope that people actually reach out if they need help and stop being stuck and just get unstuck. Get unstuck and go for it. Try something new. Go after your goals. It's 2022. Stop making excuses. It's time to just get up and do it. So we'll be wrapping up here. What is one thing that you want to tell the listeners before we get off of here?
The one bit of advice that I would have for your listeners is that is to make a list and try 5 new things and take pictures of them. Really enjoy them, right? You will be surprised at what that unlocks for you. Again, they do not have to be big. They don't have to be big. It will unlock for you the things that you're afraid of. It will unlock for you the things that excite your soul. It will unlock for you the things that you want more of. And the things that you need to pay attention to in life. And those are the things that we need more of in 2022. That's what's going to help you get your goals. And then I would encourage everybody, whether it's me or whether it's someone else, to chat with a life coach. We all have discovery calls, and that's going to help you kind of refine your goals. Use the things that you find in your new things, because it will be revelatory for you so that you can help to share that information.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. I hope everybody got all that and actually take that advice. This was a really great episode. I'm so excited for you and just expanding and just going out there, helping people with all areas of their life. Yeah, I'm just so excited. I just know when I read your manuscript, I was excited to try some new things. I felt like, oh my gosh, why am I even worried about this? Why don't I just do it? With the podcast, like, I'm actually like, okay, well, let me just do this. So I always revert to the One New Thing project, and I'm like, just do it, Sierra. Just do it. So
that's
you
awesome.
have definitely you made a mark on my soul.
Oh, that makes me happy.
Yes, you definitely made a mark on me, and I'm gonna keep going forward and just keep trying things new and not hold myself back. So I just thank you for just sharing your story and being able to step outside the box and just not holding back. Before we get off, I do ask everyone to just tell us if it's a book that you may recommend. Maybe you are reading it now. Maybe it's a book that you read previously. Do you have a book that you can recommend for people for 2022 or at any time of their life?
So the book that I would recommend for anybody is Conversations About Happiness. I think that's, or no, it's called The Book of Joy. It's conversations between the Dalai Lama and Nelson Mandela. And I have read it twice, and given with his passing, then I'm going to be reading it again. It's just to see 2 holy men. I'm sorry, it's Desmond Tutu. It's not Nelson Mandela. It's Desmond Tutu. But to see 2 holy men of their caliber conversing in that way and the affection that they hold for each other and the joy that they share with each other is just really something to behold. It's a really wonderful and lovely read. And it's it's definitely something I would recommend. I'd read it. I read it many times.
Okay. Well, I'll put that in the show notes, everybody, if you are interested in reading it. Again, Miss Ann Bingham, I am just thankful for having you on. I really hope people got value in what you talked about. And yeah, I'm just thankful that you shared your story again. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to another episode of A Way with Words podcast. Again, I am Sierra Dean, interviewing Miss Author Ann Bingham, now Coach Ann Bingham, and congratulations. And that's it, everybody. So enjoy, leave your comments, and talk to y'all later.
Thank you.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of A Way with Words podcast. Be sure to subscribe and let us know what your biggest takeaway from the show was. Talk to you soon.